Hey guys, it's Mark from the Sports Corner, and it's time to give my Week 7 recap, going over all my predictions of Week 7 very quickly, and then we're going to go over my best bets and see how they did. And then we're going to go over, I like to give you guys my power rankings, my top 10 teams who I think are in the NFL right now, and then my fool's gold list. The teams that look good and they're just fooling us. They're actually nothing. They're terrible. Some teams there's some new teams on here, but also I'm gonna just repeat who I mentioned before who were on the fool's gold list, and it looks like I was right from the beginning when I put them on that list, because those teams are looking not so good right now in week 7. So with that, let's get started. Let's just go over quickly over my predictions for the Week 7 games and my best bets. All right, well, let's just get out the gate and tell you what my record was. For Week 7, I went 8-6, so 2 games above 500. Last week, I went 2 games above 500, so not terrible. But my best bets went 4-0, clean sweep. Last week, 3-0, another clean sweep. And 2 weeks ago, 2-1. So that makes me for 3 weeks being 9-1. And if you guys followed me the last 3 weeks on my best bets, you made a great profit. So yes, I went 8-6, but my best bets swept the board, 4-0. So let's get it started. Let's start with the Jags and Patriots. This is one of my best bets. I said they would go over the number. They did. Drake May looks like he's added a little spark to this team. He's better than Brissett, that's for sure. And, I thought they put up around 20 points. They put up 16, so not bad. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, they just take advantage of it. The running game took over. Bigsby looked great, and they put up 32 points. So this game goes over. And, these are just two crappy teams. They're not going to go anywhere. Both teams are probably going to have a top 10 pick in the draft this coming year. So don't get no hopes on them, either one of those teams. But I told you guys to pick that game. It's one of my best bets, and it hits. And the second game that I predicted right, and that is the Detroit versus the Vikings. I told you guys to take Detroit money line. You were getting a good number at plus 102 or 105. And then I told you guys to take the over. They both hit. So I told you guys to take both those picks, and they both hit. So if you played those in a parlay, you made yourself a nice little profit. Vikings were the Detroit Lions were just rolling. They almost put it 90 points up the last 2 games before they played the Vikings. And the Vikings, I know they're coming off a bye, but I just thought the Lions were going to be too overwhelming. The running game, the passing game, they have it all. And, looks like Sam Darnold, I'm not really sold on him yet. I know he's having a better year, but just because he's having a better year doesn't mean he's going to have a great year at the end of the year. And people forget the Vikings secondary is not so great. They've let some teams throw some gaudy numbers against them. But besides that, I told you guys take the Lions money line and the over, and it hits. And with this matchup, I thought it was a clear, easy pick. It was almost one of my best bets. I don't know how anybody would take the underdog in this game. This being the Titans versus the Bills, and the Bills be favored by 9.5. I told you guys to take that big number. It comes through. The Bills, they won by 24 points. The Titans are awful. They're a mess. They're disarray. Wide receivers are pissed off because they're not getting the ball. Maniac Levis keeps on turning the ball over and over again. I know he got hurt this game, but he still threw an interception before he got hurt. So it was an easy pick. Not too much to say about this game. An easy pick. Bills look good. They got Cooper touched on the new guy they traded for. So that's good to see, especially anybody who has any of those players for fantasy. And the Titans are just awful. They'll be one of the teams fighting for the worst, for the first pick in next year's draft, or the draft coming up. So Titans are awful. Good win by the Bills. Easy win for us. And the next game I got right, which was one of my best bets, and that is the Bengals versus the Browns. I told you guys to take it at 5.5. It covers. Bengals were controlled the whole game. The Browns, they were down by 2 scores, but they got a garbage touchdown in the fourth quarter when Winston was in, because Watson tore his ACL, so he's out for the year. And they had the other guy who just runs a lot, but he's not so good. So Winston came in, who's a better passer than both of those quarterbacks, and they get a touchdown, a garbage touchdown. But the Bengals still cover for us. Bengals, I think they had a chance to put up more points, but they didn't. But they have a high powerful offense. They're going to try to score a lot of points. I like them in a lot of overs. I like the over in the Eagles and Bengals game. Just to let you guys know if you want to jump on it now. But hey, for this one, I told you guys to take the 5.5 with the Bengals. Bengals cover the number. Browns suck, but they'll have a top 5 pick in this year's coming draft. And the Bengals, good win by them and a good profit win for us. And this team was a battle of rivals, the Eagles versus the Giants. My Philadelphia Eagles. I told you guys to take the Eagles money line, but I also told you guys to put in this 5-game parlay, and it all hit. I told you guys to take Eagles money line, which I believe was the best bet. A.J. Brown, anytime touchdown. He got the touchdown. A.J. Brown, over 72 yards. He got 89 yards receiving. Barkley, anytime touchdown. He gets it. Good revenge game for him. And the under 48.5. Now, to get under 48.5, you had to use the alternative setting when you're on your book, and you just move it to do that just to be safe on a 5-game parlay. It all hit. I bet it personally. I won some money on that. So hopefully you guys bet that game personally. Eagles, they looked good. Good revenge game from Barkley. They just pounded the rock 24/7. So did Jalen Hurts. He got 2 rushing touchdowns. Barkley got a rushing touchdown. So they just pounded the Giants into oblivion. Giants, they really suck without their left tackle. I believe Danny Dimes and the other guy, his backup, they got sacked, I think, 8 or 9 times total. So awful. Giants are awful. They'll have a top 10 pick in this year's draft coming up. So good win by the Eagles, but also a great profitable win for us. And here's a game I got completely wrong. I mean, I mentioned in my last week video during my prediction for week 7 that I was thinking about taking the Seahawks +3. I don't know what came over me to think the Falcons were going to win this game. They get blown out. It was 34-14, 20 points to get blown out. Good win by the Seahawks, terrible loss by the Falcons. But you know what? This just proves my point. I think the whole NFC South are all pretenders. They're all garbage. I mean, I think one team's going to have to make the playoffs because they're going to win the division. I was leaning more towards Tampa Bay, but with all their hurt wide receivers out now, Godwin out for the year, and Evans going to be out for a few weeks. So I'm not really trusting that. Maybe the Buccaneers turn to a running game because they have a nice rushing attack, but I'm not so confident for them winning the division. And, the Seahawks, I think they're pretenders too. They lose Metcalf with a mild sprain. So, he's not going to be, he'll be on maybe a game or two. But other than that, I don't see the Seahawks being scaring anybody in this league. So good win by the Seahawks, terrible loss by the Falcons, but both these teams are pretenders. And this matchup is pretty crappy. I didn't even tune in to watch it. As the Dolphins versus the Colts, not much to say about this. 2 terrible teams. I know the Colts are 3-3, but no, they're terrible. Anthony Richardson, he barely won the game. He looked terrible for the whole game. And the Dolphins, looks like they were going to cover for us. Like I said, I told you guys to take the Dolphins +3 points, and it looks like they were going to cover. But then Huntley gets hurt, and they don't score any points in the second half. And then the Colts do just enough to put up crappy garbage points to win the game, and they win 16-10. And we don't get the cover with the Miami Dolphins. But what are you gonna do? 2 crappy teams that I don't even care about. And this was another crappy matchup. This being the Raiders versus the Rams. I didn't bet it personally. I told you guys though to take the Rams to cover the 7 points. I even saw it 5.5 before the game started. Looks like they were going to cover it. Going into the fourth quarter, the Rams were ahead by 11 points. Doesn't come through. The Raiders got some garbage points at the end of the fourth quarter, and they cover. They do a backdoor cover. So it was ended up being 20-15. Raiders covering. Even if you got it at 5.5, you lose. But what are you going to do? 2 crappy teams. Raiders, they got no playmakers on their team. They suck. They'll have a top 5, top 10 draft pick this year. And the Rams look like, from what I hear, they're waving the white flag. They said they're going to trade Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford, that they're on the trading block. So maybe they're saying like, hey, we need a rebuild. We're not going nowhere next season, and let's just see what we get for these people, for these players. So 2 crappy teams, 1-1. Good job, Rams, but we don't cover. Whatever. This game sucked anyways. And with this matchup, I was pretty confident to take it, even though the number was pretty close, almost a coin flip. And that is the Chiefs versus the 49ers. I get it that they're playing in San Francisco, but does anybody look at the numbers? Andy Reid's record in a bye week is like outstanding. It's unbelievable. And Mahomes against NFC teams, he owns NFC teams. Doesn't own them like Lamar Jackson, but he does really well. For some reason, people were taking the 49ers to cover the 1.5. They didn't. The Chiefs beat them by, I believe, 10 points. And the San Francisco 49ers, man, did they get beat up in this game. They lose one of their starting wide receivers that they paid a lot of money for, in Ayuk. And then Deebo Samuel gets ammonia, which is not great, actually. I hopefully the guy gets better. So, I mean, they not only they lose by 10 points, they got all beat up, the San Francisco 49ers. So, yeah, I thought it was an easy prediction because all the information I gave you guys about the game, and I took it. I got at a plus 105, made good money on it. So, I don't know, easy prediction for me. Kansas City 6-0, looks like the real deal again, and the running game with Hunt looks really great. And the 49ers, they're going downhill. They're getting too beat up. Too many people on defense hurt, and too many people on offense are now getting hurt. So the NFC West sucks now. I don't know, maybe the Seahawks could actually turn around and win the division, but 49ers do not look good. And they especially look even worse now that they're all injured. All right, in this matchup, we have the Jets versus Steelers. I told you guys to take the over 39 in this game. It hits easily. Pittsburgh themselves got close to passing it. The Steelers had 37 points. The score ended up being 37-15. And, what are you going to say? The Jets kept on saying that they're one quarterback away. No, you're not. You're the Jets. You're shitty. You're terrible. You're a whole team away. You get Aaron Rodgers there, and you guys look awful. You're 2-4. So nobody believes you. You're garbage. Okay? Sorry to rant there, but no, I told you guys take the over. Over hits. Steelers, they go to Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson looked good. Not great, but good. Threw for over 260 yards and 2 touchdowns. Najee Harris had 2 back-to-back now good games, rushing over 100 yards. So maybe, the passing game will open the running game for the Steelers. And the Steelers still have a great defense, and they shut down the crazy and bum Jets. Sorry, Jets fans. You guys are just awful, and see you next year. I hope you guys are happy with their top 10 pick next year. And with this matchup, I thought it was an easy prediction as well, and that being the Ravens versus the Buccaneers. I told you guys to take the over 49.5. The game went over 70 points. I thought this was an easy prediction. 2 teams with 2 great offenses with weapons surrounding them everywhere around their quarterbacks, and 2 really good quarterbacks, and it came through. But not only that, I added a nice little parlay for you guys to take as well, and that parlay was Lamar Jackson over 282.5 all-purpose yards. He surpassed that. I think he believed he got over 300. Henry anytime TD. That was the last one to hit. A little worried there, but it got there for us. And then Mayfield to throw over 1.5 passing TDs. If you guys took all that, you won yourself a nice little profit. So, what are you going to say? Let's get to the teams really quick. Ravens look great. Man, they had the number 1 rushing attack like nobody's business. They could run on anybody and everybody. It does not matter. Henry leads the league in rushing. He'll possibly could get 1,000 yards rushing in this week or next week. And Lamar looks awesome. He threw for 5 touchdowns. The guy's a fantasy king. The guy's a monster. And he still dominates NFC teams. When other teams were trying to take the Buccaneers plus the points, plus the 3.5 or 4.5 or whatever it was, I was like, what are you talking about? That statistic alone with him being 22-1 against NFC teams, I said take that, take it. But I gave you guys the over because I thought that was the best play because these are two powerful offenses. But I gave that nice parlay, guys, and if you took that, you made some nice cash. And the other last matchup was that crappy Monday night game. I didn't even bother to watch. It was awful. 17-15 Cardinals win. I told you guys to take the Chargers minus the points or for them to cover the 3 points. They don't. They lose the Cardinals. You know, what can you say? Both these teams suck. I don't care that the Chargers have a decent record. They still suck. No offense. And Arizona's too inconsistent. You know, Murray has to play Superman. He actually had to play Superman to win that game. He ran a 40-yarder to a touchdown. So, yeah, two crappy teams. I believe both these teams are not going to make the playoffs. Jim Harbaugh's a little overhyped. I don't know not why they go get any passing help. They have all their wide receivers suck on the Chargers. Go get Herbert an actual weapon so you guys can actually, so people can be scared of your offense. Not just run the ball of Dobbins all the time. They're pathetic. And Cardinals, you know, they're in a crappy division, but they're not going to go anywhere. They'll probably finish third in that division. So good win from them. They got an upset win against the Chargers and the 49ers. So some decent wins from the Cardinals, but they're not going nowhere. But a good start for a young and rebuilding team. Well, guys, that was my recap for Week 7. All the predictions I gave you guys and how we did. Like I said, we went for a total of 8-6 for the last week for Week 7. Not too bad. 2 games above 500. We could have had some games that could have went our way. We could have had a better record, but they didn't. Thank you, Rams. So, you know, what are you going to do? But what I'm most proud of, my best bets, the ones I bet personally, swept the board. 4-0, 4-0, 4-0. 3-0 last week. So 7-0 the last 2 weeks. Made myself a nice profit, and that's what I'm really proud of because those are the ones I'm telling you guys to bet on for sure. So guys, those are my predictions for Week 7. My Week 8 predictions are coming out Thursday or Friday. I'm trying to get them out a little sooner this week, so pay attention to that. Pay attention to my power rankings video coming up and my Fool's Gold segment video as well. And for my NBA picks, I love NBA, big Knicks fan here, so pay attention to that. But there you go, guys. Those were my predictions for Week 7 and my best bets.